Well, I stand some here. Good evening, morning, or afternoon, whenever you happen to be watching this. This is our latest and greatest episode of Metaphysical Corner. And today, it's going to be a shorter one in that we're only going to cover one main idea. But it is probably the most critical and the thing called the hinge of metaphysics as far as what's possible. I hope I've made it clear the difference between what we call Einstein and Newtonian physics, especially as far as the medical field goes. I discussed how what the basically the medical field has totally ignored the Einstein paradigm, and they're looking at strictly everything from a Newtonian viewpoint, and that's really unfortunate. I want to emphasize, it's not that the Newtonian approach or physics is wrong. It's not. It's just not the whole picture. They're when they're operating basically with half of the picture, or probably less than half of the way the human body works and the way things are. I have alluded to the fact before, I don't know if you caught it, that we basically are living in a hologram. And as wild as that sounds, it seems to be, more and more evidence is being found every day that this is indeed the case. So I'm going to tell you something about holograms. I have a picture in here that I'm going to show you. I hope it'll work on the, I'll bring it up to the phone there so that you can see it. So, but there is, the fact is, if we are holograms and everything is truly, really a hologram, though we are talking about a hologram of absolutely unbelievable sophistication. There's a characteristic of holograms that you may not realize that has a direct correlation to us. And once you know this, you never look at things and get the same again. So what I read from this is holography, holograms, as a new model of reality. Well, it isn't a model, it just is reality. It says to understand Einsteinian medicine, we use a working knowledge of light, or we need a working knowledge of light, or more specifically, laser light. Now, I find it interesting because that's what I work with, lasers. I I started my career in lasers way back in the early 1970s. I used to work on high-powered carbon dioxide lasers, and now for the last 15 years, I've been working on much less lower power lasers, used in medicine in many ways, and they're used for eyes. The range of applications of lasers is astounding. In case you don't know it, laser is L-A-S-E-R. It's not L-A-Z. It's L-A-S-E-R, and it's an acronym, and it stands for light amplification by the stimulated emission of radiation. It's a mouthful. But what makes laser light different than ordinary light, though? Like there's a light on here in the room. It gives off, incandescent light, regular light, but it's not laser light. What is it about laser light that makes it different? Why is lasers and phasers used on Star Wars and Star Trek, so to speak? Well, here's what it is. In a regular light bulb, once that light is emitted, it goes in all directions. It doesn't, there's no, what they call coherency to it. It's not together. The beam is not together. A laser, you've heard the term laser beam. That's what it is. It's light that stays together. Except over extremely great distances, it starts to spread out. But it's basically very concentrated light. And yes, if it's got enough photons, and photons are the units, are the actual components of light, has enough photons, it can be destructive. In that, we used to, back in the 70s. In the 70s, these were high-powered carbon dioxide lasers used in industry. We used to blow holes through concrete and cinder blocks and that type of thing. Just vaporize them or punch holes in them. That was astounding. And this was, I don't even know what they could do today. Don't ask me, but I've had the opportunity and kind of the privilege to operate on some of the most advanced equipment in the world. MRIs, lasers. So, look at it this way. It gives me a little bit of credence, gives me a little bit of, I don't want to say authority. I think you can, I've worked with this stuff. I've seen what it can do. It's not a joke. Now, currently, lasers, holograms, even today, in this day, and it's 2018, and at some point in the future, someone will be watching this and, well, it won't be 2018, it'll be 2019, 2020, whatever. But, in this age, there's lasers are almost holograms are made almost entirely by lasers. We don't know yet of another way. Well, obviously, if our existence is lasers, or our existence is holograms, it sure isn't being done by lasers, because there's no lasers around where I'm at. So I am certain that if it is indeed true, that the existence of the Earth, the universe, you and I are holograms, it's on a level, that's why I say a level of sophistication of which we can't even imagine. So it's way above and beyond using lasers, that's for sure. But that's the only way we can do it right now. But here's the deal with lasers, or not lasers, I should say, with holograms. You're looking, let's say you're in a room, and this can be done today. You can, I often thought it'd be so cool. I used to think this when I worked on MRIs. Wouldn't it be awesome? And the day will come, I am sure, where you go into an MRI scanner, and of course it scans the inside of your body, and they look at the images on monitors and X-ray, X-ray film and that type of thing of the image, of the anatomy. I think you'll get to the point, some point in the future, where they'll have like a holographic room they can go in, and based on the information gathered from the CT scan or the MRI, it will actually make a hologram of the person's insides, and you can literally walk through it, view it from any angle, and it's going to be, anything that is visually wrong is going to be very obvious. This is coming. I guarantee it. I have no idea when. It may not be for 5 years. It may not be for 10 or longer. But it's coming. I guarantee it. Now, I'm going to show this to you. They show a... Let's see if I can get this. Like it says, this is a hologram of an apple that's converted to being on film. And if you take very small pieces and cut it right down to the pixels, the individual pixels of the film of the hologram, this is a hologram of an apple. Within each pixel of the hologram which is the building block of the hologram, is a picture or an image of the entire thing. The apple. Let me repeat that. I want you to understand this. When you look at a holograph, they got a film of a holograph here. I'll show it again. I hope this is, there we go. Got this apple. They took a hologram of it and put it on film, and then they cut it, and they look at the individual pixels, and within each individual pixel, you can see the whole apple. Now, if that doesn't strike you as wild, you don't understand it. I find it utterly amazing. Are you serious? Now, does this sound familiar? As far as us go? At a highly symbolic level, the holistic principles that every piece contains the whole can be seen in the cellular structures of all living bodies. Scientific discoveries in the world of cell biology have demonstrated, of course, that every cell contains a copy of your master DNA blueprint. We know this. Every cell of you, I can take any, except red blood cells. I can take any cell from your body and make another you. Doesn't matter. Hair, skin, bone, whatever. Doesn't matter. That DNA is in each and every cell. In the DNA. Within just like within every pixel of the hologram of the apple, there is an apple, the whole apple. Within every cell of our bodies, there is the DNA, which is all of you. Just let that sink in for a minute. You have, let's say you have 1 trillion cells in your body. I don't think the number's really known. There's 1 trillion copies of you, of the DNA that makes you you. This realization is the basis for experiments in cloning human cells. In other words, yeah, I could take a cell, I could take any one cell from your body and make another you. Now, immediately people start thinking bad stuff. Thinking stem cells, or, not that stem cells technology is bad. But where I think this holds such promise is, wouldn't it be awesome if, I'm not saying people can be made immortal, but the length of life could certainly be far extended. Let's say you have a bad heart. Your heart's failing. It's going to kill you within a year. Wouldn't it be something if we could take a piece of your nail and grow you a new heart? And it'll be your heart, because it's made from your DNA. And then they replace it, and you're good to go. Think about this. The fact that every cell within the human body contains the information to create an entire duplicate body mirrors the holographic principle, where every piece contains the information of the whole. I don't know if it's hitting you what I'm saying. Number one is, it sure seems like we're holograms, or there's a lot of similarity. The holographic principle may also be of value in understanding the energetic fields associated with the physiochemical structure of the human body. Science has come far in understanding of the nature of the natural growth, development, and repair of living systems. Much of this understanding is an outgrowth of our sophisticated deciphering of the genetic code within the nucleus of the living cell. The nucleus is clearly a control center for the complex processes and interactions taking place within and between our cells. Our understanding of DNA containing chromosomes within the nucleus has furthered our knowledge of such phenomena as cellular respiration, growth, and the differentiation of primitive embryonic cells that turn into very specialized cells to carry out specific functions throughout the body. Every cell starts out the same, especially in the baby after their conception. The cells are all as it goes from 2 to 4 to 8, 16 cells, they're all the same. But somewhere, and I find this one of the most mind-blowing, what happens between the moment of conception and the moment a baby is born is nothing short of mind-blowing. How everything knows to do, to assemble a brain, to, build the heart, the arteries, the stomach. Where does this come from? Well, it's in the DNA. But we'll get into that. However, our knowledge of DNA is inadequate thus far to explain how differentiated cells in a developing human fetus find its way to the appropriate locations where they will carry out the specific functions. I mean, a brain developing inside the skull. I mean, how does it know which cells are going to be in the skull, which are going to be in the brain? Where does the instructions come from to build a brain that has literally trillions of neurons in it? At times I don't like thinking about this. I find it mind-blowing. I just, the level of sophistication is humbling, for lack of a better term. There is, from astrology, a saying of as above, so below. One level of meaning to this phrase is that things on a microscopic level seem to mirror things on a macroscopic level. Let us examine the world from the perspective of a single cell. The DNA within the nucleus encodes the structural and physical expression of the cell's activity. But the DNA is only an information manual. It's the instructions, containing the instructions that still must be acted on by some intermediate actors in the cellular scheme of things. Yeah, in other words, it's not the DNA that does the work. The DNA has the information on how to do the work. And it's up to other things within the cell to carry out the instructions. I hope this is clear. Those actors in the cell scenario are enzymes, the protein body's workers that carry out many, many everyday biochemical tasks. The enzyme catalyzes specific reaction of chemicals to create structure throughout the molecular assemblies or to provide the electrochemical fire to run the cellular engines and ultimately keep the whole thing working. Enzymes are actually composed of proteins, which themselves are collections of amino acids stored together in a linear array like colored beads on a thread. The various positive and negative charges on the amino acids, by virtue of electrostatic attraction and repulsion, cause the string of beads to self-assemble into three-dimensional functional units. I've studied this. It's complex beyond belief. At the center of the structure is the active site, or called the business end, of this macromolecule where chemical reactions are catalyzed. The DNA molecule encodes and assigns the sequential arrangements of the various colored amino acids for each type of protein in its genetic memory. What enzymes actually do, if you don't know, if you bring two chemicals together, okay, I remember from chemistry class in high school, taking a piece of magnesium and throwing it in water. Or sodium, pure sodium. It explodes almost. It's doesn't like, it's a reaction that doesn't take very long. Many chemical reactions that involve elements are quick. Biochemical reactions are much slower just because of the size of the molecules and for various other reasons. And in order for life to exist, if all the trillions of chemical reactions that happen in your body every second were allowed to happen on their own, you'd have been dead a long time ago. Because they happen too slow. If two chemicals come together, the chemical reaction may take 2-3 minutes instead of at the speed it should. Enzymes are miracle workers. Enzymes, when the two chemicals come together that are going to undergo chemical reaction, it lowers there is a thing called activation energy. It's the amount of energy it takes to make that chemical reaction happen. And what happens is when these two chemicals would come together, it takes it a long time to get over that activation energy. Enzymes make that instant. In other words, when the moment these two chemicals come in contact with the enzyme by doing its magic, that chemical reaction happens instantly between the two things that attach to it. As a matter of fact, what normally may have been a 2 to 3 minute reaction by itself, there are enzymes inside your eyes and inside your brain that literally catalyze billions of chemical reactions per second. It happens with a speed that is unbelievable. That's what enzymes do. Like I said, without them, we'd have long been dead. I think, well, let me see here. I will cover this. And then we're going to, because I don't want to, I'm giving you a lot. No, we're going to stop here. I'm going to start on this page next time. Because I think I've given you enough. I want you to think about what you heard. As far as, we covered some, in reality, heavy-duty stuff today. And believe me, there's much more to come. Much. But I don't want to give it too much. I don't want to overload anyone. Hell, I don't want to overload me. But once again, you have to watch this, or if you're watching these, keep an open mind. You're going to, like this holograph, and every piece contains the whole, much like every cell of our body holds the DNA that makes us. If you never thought of it, it never occurred to you, it's kind of like, wow, I'll never look at things the same again. Well, that's the idea. We are going to cover stuff that is just going to change your way of thinking, for lack of a better term, for lack of a better way to put it. So I am going to stop there. We'll do one again next week, and it's going to be an interesting ride. Enjoy.